Governments around the world are rapidly moving to implement the OECD's new side-by-side SBS package for Pillar Two. Since the OECD G20 Inclusive Framework approved the package on 5 January 2026, tax authorities, finance ministries, and regional institutions across Europe and Asia-Pacific have issued guidance, launched consultations, or enacted legislation incorporating the new safe harbor system into domestic law. Welcome to another episode of Reg Talks. Join us as we explore how countries are moving to adopt OECD's Pillar Two side-by-side package.
I'm glad we're tackling this today. There's so much buzz around it since the Inclusive Framework approval in January. For listeners, we'll break down what these changes mean, why the debate's heating up, and which countries are racing to adopt the new rules.
By the end, you'll have a clear sense of the package's big components, who's leading on implementation, and why the G7's backing matters. Let's start with what the side-by-side arrangement actually changes, then move through Europe's response, Asia-Pacific's updates, and wrap up with political reactions.
Perfect. Let's dive right in and unpack what makes this package so controversial and so significant.
So, the heart of the side-by-side package is creating new safe harbors and simplifications in the global minimum tax system. The idea is to make life easier for both multinationals and tax authorities.
That's a big shift. The package introduces 5 major elements: administrative simplifications, substance-based incentives, the side-by-side and ultimate parent entity safe harbors, an evidence-based stocktake, and stronger domestic minimum top-up taxes.
For example, under the side-by-side safe harbor, multinationals headquartered in a jurisdiction with an eligible minimum tax regime can essentially skip some top-up taxes, which could mean huge savings.
But here's where it gets contentious. The US is currently the only country recognized as having a qualified side-by-side regime. That's fueling concerns about fairness and tax sovereignty, especially outside the US.
And that tension is setting the stage for how other regions respond. Speaking of which, Europe has really jumped into action.
Europe wasted no time. The European Commission gave the green light in mid-January, saying the side-by-side arrangement fits within the EU's Pillar Two Directive if every member consents.
Cyprus was quick to officially endorse the package, and Finland enacted Law 187/2026, which brought these safe harbors straight into their Minimum Tax Act. Other countries like Sweden, the Netherlands, and Slovakia are drafting or proposing similar measures.
It's interesting how some governments are not just following the OECD guidance, but expanding it. For instance, Finland's law includes new substance-based incentives and transitional reporting relief.
And this wave of legislative activity isn't limited to Europe. Asia-Pacific countries are taking decisive steps too.
Japan moved fast by March. They'd woven the side-by-side and UPE safe harbors into their 2026 tax reform. They even extended the transitional country-by-country reporting safe harbor through 2027.
Australia's taxation office updated its guidance in January, adding an entire section just for the side-by-side package. They signaled it'll apply for fiscal years starting in 2026, but formal legislation is still pending.
Meanwhile, Korea's Ministry of Strategy and Finance launched consultations on draft amendments, clearly aiming to reflect the OECD's administrative guidance next.
That's a lot of movement in a short span. And while these changes are happening, Switzerland and the UK are clarifying the nitty-gritty details.
Switzerland issued detailed guidance in April, laying out exactly how the safe harbors work under their minimum taxation ordinance, including timing and interactions with deferred tax assets.
The UK Treasury also stepped in, promising implementation in the next finance bill. They've said the reforms apply for accounting periods after January 2026, calling the package a step toward long-term stability.
These clarifications help multinationals navigate the complicated web of global minimum tax rules, especially as the rules keep evolving.
And with the G7's recent endorsement, the political momentum behind the package is building fast.
The G7 finance ministers gave their stamp of approval in May, describing the package as crucial for tax certainty and sovereignty. They also highlighted the need for ongoing cooperation on digital tax issues.
That international backing gives the OECD package real weight. It signals to countries that the global minimum tax isn't going away and encourages more governments to align their domestic laws.
But it's clear there's still debate about whether the reforms favor the US too much or threaten local autonomy. Expect more discussions and maybe new tweaks before the dust settles.
Absolutely. Let's wrap up with the key takeaways and a practical step for listeners navigating these shifting rules.
First, the side-by-side package introduces major simplifications and safe harbours for global minimum tax compliance. Second, Europe and Asia Pacific are moving fast to legislate and clarify the rules. Third, the G7's endorsement is cementing the package as a global standard, even amid ongoing debate.
If you're managing or advising a multinational enterprise, start reviewing your tax structures and compliance processes now, especially if your group operates in jurisdictions adopting these reforms.
Stay tuned, because as implementation unfolds, new guidance and opportunities are bound to surface. Thanks for joining us as we navigated the OECD's latest chapter. Until next time.